Right, I already told you Ken and Gypsy broke up. Okay, that's a fact. Ken is allegedly back in Texas for sure, allegedly. It's been alleged that he's at his mama's, so he's with Miss Raina, allegedly. Now, I've heard that he has only been in Louisiana a couple of times last month for filming, and he's been MIA ever since. So when y'all said homeboy is like, where's Waldo? You ain't never lie. Listen, I think Ken was like a runaway slave on that highway to get back to Texas, child. I would too. Because when you deal with someone like Gypsy Rose Blanchard and that type of toxicity, yeah, I is free, massa. I is free.
Ken Urker just set the internet ablaze with a bombshell move that's left fans questioning the future of his relationship with Gypsy Rose Blanchard. After months of playing the role of a doting partner, Ken has allegedly packed his bags and moved over 600 miles back to Texas to live with his mother, Raina Williams. This surprising decision has created both a physical and emotional chasm between him and Gypsy, igniting rumors that their love story might be unraveling for good. But what's really going on here? Let's break it down. To understand the full scope of this drama, we need to rewind to June. Back then, Ken seemed to be all in on his relationship with Gypsy, even moving to New Orleans, Louisiana, to be closer to her. It was painted as the ultimate romantic gesture, signaling that their bond was growing stronger. Gypsy's stepmother, Christy Blanchard, even spilled to People magazine that Ken's big move had been in the works since May, with him scouting homes to make their dream of being together a reality. For a while, it all seemed like a modern fairy tale. But new details have emerged that cast a shadow over this love-driven narrative. During a September live stream to Sir Morbid X, Ken's mother, Raina Williams, dropped a shocking revelation. Ken's decision to move to Louisiana wasn't just about love. According to Raina, the relocation only happened after Ken found out Gypsy was pregnant. Suddenly, what looked like a grand romantic gesture now seems like it might have been motivated more by obligation than passion. This revelation has sent the internet into a frenzy, with fans speculating that Ken's recent retreat to Texas might signal the end of the road for him and Gypsy.
I love Ken. I mean, I think in so many ways he's a great guy. Do we make stupid decisions sometimes? Of course. But unlike so many people in the room, I don't hate Gypsy. I've met her. I talked to her. I'm like Ken. I met Gypsy from the documentary on HBO, and I had a lot of sympathy, you know?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Mommy dearest.
Right. And now I feel, I still feel the same way. I mean, I've definitely seen other things since then that have made me go, wow, it's not
as black and white as you thought it was.
Right.
The drama continues to unfold in Gypsy's world, as the dynamics between her and her husband, Ken, are drawing eerie parallels to the strained relationship between her parents, Rod and Dee. Much like Rod, who reportedly felt pressured into marriage due to an unexpected pregnancy, Ken seems to have been caught in a situation where obligation outweighed true affection. Fast forward to today, and Ken's recent move back to Texas appears to be his bold attempt to escape a draining and unhappy relationship. Observers have been quick to point out the striking similarities. Both Rod and Ken made life-altering decisions for the wrong reasons, only to later recognize the need to prioritize their own happiness. Ken's departure isn't just a change in scenery, it's a symbolic break from the emotional weight of his circumstances in Louisiana. Speculation is swirling that his life there had become increasingly isolating, leaving him burdened and yearning for a fresh start. This pivotal move might just mark a turning point, not only in his personal journey, but in the ongoing narrative surrounding Gypsy's complicated relationships.
Now remember, Miss Raina said she watched Becca Scoops and she realized who Gypsy really was, and she was concerned about her grandbaby, but she said she was hoping for the best. So she did say she took off them rose-colored glasses, y'all. Right, I already told you Ken and Gypsy broke up. Okay, that's a fact. Ken is allegedly back in Texas for sure, allegedly. It's been alleged that he's at his mama's, so he's with Miss Raina, allegedly. Now, I've heard that he has only been in Louisiana a couple of times last month for filming, and he's been MIA ever since. So when y'all said homeboy is like, where's Waldo? You ain't never lie. Listen, I think Ken was like a runaway slave on that highway to get back to Texas, child. I would too. Because when you deal with someone like Gypsy Rose Blanchard and that type of toxicity, yeah, I is free, massa. I is free.
Did love turn into a chore for Ken? Insiders close to the couple are whispering that cracks in the relationship were evident long before Ken made his big move back to Texas. According to sources, Ken often appeared weighed down by the obligations tied to his relationship with Gypsy, leaving him struggling to find genuine joy. Their interactions on Lifetime's show seemed more like he was checking off tasks on a to-do list rather than expressing heartfelt affection. And in those pivotal moments of Gypsy's life, his detachment was hard to ignore. Take Gypsy's high-profile promotional events for her memoir, My Time to Stand. Ken was nowhere to be found. The same goes for her dramatic divorce court hearing, which left many fans and followers questioning just how invested Ken was emotionally. Some speculate that Ken's mental state at the time was a storm of frustration, fatigue, and a yearning for freedom. These feelings might have been the final push for him to leave Louisiana altogether. Returning to his mother's home in Texas wasn't just a change in scenery. It might have been a lifeline for Ken to reconnect with his roots, seek much-needed support, and gain clarity about his next steps. But his absence during critical chapters of Gypsy's life didn't go unnoticed, adding fuel to the fire of rumors about their strained connection. Could Ken's retreat to Texas mark the beginning of a new chapter, or was it the final nail in the coffin of their romance?
Have Gypsy Rose and Ken broken up? Let's talk about it. As you all know, Gypsy Rose had a book signing in New Orleans at the Garden District bookstore on Friday the 13th. Now, one day following that, I went to the bookstore and they completely ridded their shelves of Gypsy Rose Blanchard's book. But those who attended the book signing were quite surprised that Gypsy's boyfriend and father to her child-to-be, Ken Urker, was nowhere to be found. Now, while this event, if you went to it, clearly seemed like something that was put together for a Lifetime production, it's arguably a big event. Gypsy did write a book. Well, with the help of two co-authors. And her boyfriend and father of her child, Ken Urker, wasn't there for this big moment of Gypsy's? Now you may remember that rumors have been circulating for a while about the status of Gypsy Rose Blanchard's relationship with Ken. And Gypsy recently had a baby shower, which was a part of her Lifetime production, and Ken was there. But just last week, Ken was not there to support his girlfriend for her book signing event. Gypsy was accompanied only by her stepmother, Christy, and father, Rod. Why do you think Ken wasn't at the book signing? Do you think he and Gypsy actually broke up? Or was he not interested in participating in another Lifetime facade?
Could there be more to these absences than meets the eye? The gaps in Ken's presence hint at a deeper rift, one that might have been quietly simmering for months. His move back to Texas isn't just a change of scenery, it paints a broader picture of self-preservation. Like many caught in emotionally draining situations, Ken may have hit his breaking point. Staying any longer might have risked his mental and emotional well-being. Heading back to his mother's home in Texas feels like a deliberate reset, a chance to clear his head, regain his footing, and find some much-needed stability. It seems like reality TV's drama isn't just confined to the screen. Why? It's not just about love or heartbreak, there's a web of contractual obligations and carefully crafted narratives at play. This isn't just about Ken packing his bags for Texas, it's about keeping the audience guessing while maintaining the illusion of a fairy tale romance. Behind the scenes, reality TV participants often face ironclad non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, that control what they can reveal about their personal lives. For Ken and Gypsy, this likely means presenting a united front, even if their real-life dynamics are less than picture perfect. Violating these contracts by publicly addressing a breakup could lead to major legal and financial consequences, so the stakes couldn't be higher. Lifetime's production team works overtime to ensure that every twist and turn unfolds on their terms, not on Instagram. Ken's social media activity speaks volumes about this dynamic. Whenever breakup rumors gain traction, he's quick to post glowing updates about his relationship with Gypsy. Take, for example, his recent Instagram story. Amid speculation about his move back to Texas, he shared a heartwarming post featuring Gypsy captioned, "Holiday weather, 8 tenths, home decorations, 9 tenths, Gypsy and my baby girl, 10 tenths." Coincidence? Unlikely. These posts feel less like casual updates and more like a strategic move to quiet the noise and keep fans invested in the show's storyline.
Are Gypsy Rose and Ken Urker pretending to be together for the new season of Gypsy Rose Life After Lockup on Lifetime? Or did they really break up last month when the rumors started circulating? Is Gypsy Rose really pregnant? Did she already have the baby? Is she wearing a prosthetic baby bump? These rumors are still circulating. When Gypsy was on Kel Lowry's podcast, she said the rumors that they broke up are not true. And Ken has publicly said that Lifetime does not make them do anything. Lifetime simply follows their life. Is that true? Well, tonight Ken posted a new photo of him and Gypsy to his IG. He wrote, "Holiday weather, 8 out of 10. Holiday decorations at home, 9 out of 10. Gypsy and my baby girl, 10 out of 10. There's so many different opinions when it comes to their relationship and her pregnancy. I, for one, think they're still together, and I think she's still pregnant. I know a lot of people don't like that opinion, but it's mine, and you are welcome to yours. Everyone is welcome to comment their opinions in my comment section, as long as you can keep it respectful."
Is this love or just a show? The internet is buzzing with questions about the authenticity of Gypsy and Ken's relationship after fans uncovered a series of eyebrow-raising moments. At first glance, their posts seem like typical couple content, but a deeper dive into their interactions reveals a troubling dynamic. From detached body language to awkward social media moves, the cracks in their picture-perfect image are becoming harder to ignore. Let's break down the moments that have everyone talking. Observers have long pointed out signs of detachment in Ken's posts. In photos, Gypsy is often seen leaning into Ken or holding him tightly, radiating affection. Meanwhile, Ken's expressions tend to be neutral. Some might even say distant. The same vibe carried over to their baby shower, where Gypsy appeared enthusiastic and engaged, while Ken's demeanor seemed forced and disinterested. These moments paint a picture of a couple struggling with connection, both online and offline. But the tension doesn't stop there. In November, Gypsy took to social media to share their paternity test results, a move that quickly backfired. Fans criticized her for airing such deeply personal details, and during this time, Ken's silence spoke volumes. Many interpreted it as a sign of him pulling away from the drama. However, the plot thickened in early December when Ken finally addressed the controversy, posting the same paternity test results on his TikTok. In a heartfelt yet clumsily worded caption, he revealed, "I very rarely speak out, and the reason I'm doing this now is I don't want false allegations speculating about my child. Me and Gypsy had the DNA done, and this is the result. I can't wait to be a father. It's always been a dream of mine. Maybe this might put theories to rest." While the announcement was meant to clarify things, it only fueled more speculation. Fans quickly dissected the post, with many pointing out the grammatical errors and informal tone, leading them to believe Gypsy might have been behind the scenes pulling the strings. Ken's delayed response didn't win him any favors. Critics were quick to label it as damage control, questioning the timing and sincerity of his post. Adding fuel to the fire, some speculated that Gypsy herself wrote the caption, pointing to its awkward grammar and phrasing, such as the line, "I do not want no false allegations circulating." Observers noted that this style closely mirrored Gypsy's past posts, which often include similar mistakes. Theories about Gypsy's influence over Ken gained traction, with commenters suggesting she might even manage how he publicly addresses issues, especially those that affect her image. Fans are now left wondering if this relationship is built on love or control, as the couple continues to face scrutiny both online and in real life. The drama didn't stop there. Ken's mother, Raina Williams, weighed in, adding a new layer to the story. During a candid live stream, she admitted to harboring serious reservations about her son's relationship with Gypsy. "As a mother, I just want what's best for my son. And I have to admit, I've had my worries," Raina confessed. She expressed concerns over Gypsy's troubled past, saying, "That kind of history doesn't just disappear." Now, as Ken celebrates his new role as a father, the question remains, can he and Gypsy move past the controversy and build a future together? Or will the shadows of the past continue to haunt their relationship?
The first time Ken walked away, were you almost relieved that this was going to be in the past?
I mean, no, not really. I wasn't upset with it in the beginning because I guess there was the, I don't know, she was still in, I wasn't upset.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when he walked away, he really battled with that because he didn't want to hurt her.
What was he battling with during that time? Or he broke up with her and then, as a mom, if he shared
it
with
was
you?
mutual. It was in the very beginning. It was my understanding it was mutual. This was right after I met Gypsy, and I had told her, whatever you do, don't get married while you're in prison.
Let's break it all down. Raina, Ken's mother, opened up during the live stream about the emotional turmoil she's faced watching her son navigate his high-profile relationship with Gypsy. She revealed the heartbreaking struggle of wanting Ken to find happiness while wrestling with Gypsy's controversial past. You hear all these things about someone, and no matter how hard you try, it's difficult to fully trust the situation, Raina admitted. Adding to her anguish, Raina expressed frustration over the public scrutiny of Ken and Gypsy's relationship. I know people have their opinions, and it's hard to see my son caught in the middle of all that, she shared, noting that Ken deserves peace after everything he's endured. Now that Ken has returned to Texas, Raina is likely relieved to have her son home, where he can gain clarity and support. She believes the distance from Gypsy could provide Ken with an opportunity to reset. Sometimes you need space to see things clearly, and I think this is that time for Ken, she remarked, blending maternal concern with hope for her son's future. Despite Ken's insistence that their actions aren't dictated by reality TV, it's hard to ignore how much influence the show may have had on his relationship. The pressure to deliver a captivating narrative seems to have added another layer of complexity to their already strained dynamic. Ken's move back to Texas could signify a pivotal step in reclaiming his independence. By physically and emotionally distancing himself, he appears to be prioritizing his mental health after what seems to have been an exhausting chapter in his life. From the reasons behind his initial move to Louisiana to the current speculation surrounding his breakup, every detail adds another layer to this unfolding drama.
They are filming right now for the next season of Life After Lockup, Love After Lockup, whatever it is. He is currently in a contract to finish out filming, which means that even if he wanted to leave, he couldn't, because if he broke the contract, he would then be having to pay Lifetime back for millions and millions of dollars, whatever he signed the contract for. So he is contractually bound to stay with her until the filming is over. Not only is he contractually bound, but I think that he is hanging on because he wants to see if this baby is actually his. And I think he is beginning to be very resentful of Gypsy because he feels trapped. But I also fear that he is trying to be protecting of this unborn child because everyone knows that this woman, Gypsy, has unalived her own mother, so she cannot be trusted. You would want to run too, right? But then you feel like you can't because this person is holding on to something that could be biologically yours, and you want to protect that being because you fear that this person is dangerous. I think Ken is also starting to realize that a lot of these health issues that Gypsy had previously before going into prison are starting to reappear, and that seems just a little bit fishy, right?
Is Ken sticking around because of love? Or is it all about the baby? Let's be honest. If there wasn't a baby in the picture, Ken might not be so invested. But now, with a lifelong connection through their child, Ken and Gypsy are undeniably tied together. And when you dig deeper, this situation gets even more intriguing. When Gypsy and Ken rekindled their romance, she wasted no time proclaiming that he was the one. But actions speak louder than words, and Gypsy didn't just talk. She acted fast. Less than a month after their reunion, she was already pregnant. Coincidence? Highly doubtful. It seems like a calculated move to lock in her bond with Ken, ensuring there's no easy way for him to walk away.
Not only did I call Ken 2 weeks before the wedding, but the conversation that Ken and I had, I was honest with Ryan about it. I asked Ken, I said, if you don't want me to get married, then you need to tell me now.
And what he told you?
And he told me that I want you to do what makes you happy. I think you should wait. But he didn't say wait for me. If he would have said wait for me,
You wouldn't.
Now compare this to her past relationship with Ryan Anderson, and the contrast couldn't be more obvious. Gypsy dated Ryan for 3 months, but was doing everything in her power to avoid pregnancy. On her reality show Life After Lockup, she even admitted to using Plan B, following her sister Mia's advice to dodge any lasting ties with Ryan. Cautious and uninterested, Gypsy made it crystal clear she wasn't looking for anything permanent with him.
A couple days ago, I went to the bedroom, woke Ryan up. I said, I need to tell you something. He said, I'm asleep. I said, I miss Ken.
He must have woke up quick.
He did, and he was like, you need to let that go. You need to let him go. You are married. And I'm like, I know I am, but I think that we both need to come to terms with the fact that I have 2 men in my heart, and he's still there in my heart. This is the day before Valentine's Day, too.
Despite marrying Ryan while still behind bars, the relationship was never destined for a fairy tale ending. Starting a family, not even close to being on the horizon. Instead, their marriage seemed rooted in practicality, a way for Gypsy to find emotional support during the isolation of incarceration. Ryan appeared to be more of a stand-in, filling the gap rather than being a true life partner. But once Gypsy was released, everything shifted. Ryan went from being her emotional crutch to more of a public buffer, a shield from the outside world. That is, until Ken, her ex-fiancé, swooped back into the picture, and then, well, it all unraveled fast.
Someone proved to me that Gypsy Rose Blanchard is a very, very high-risk pregnancy. The reason why is unknown to me, but I've been told that she has been using her being a high-risk pregnancy against Ken. So even though they're not together, and they still currently are not together, he's around. They don't live together. He's not staying at Christy's house like he was before. But Gypsy says that she doesn't need the stress for the baby's sake, and she's a high-risk pregnancy, so he doesn't want to stress her out. Child, but they still are not together. But she is definitely holding that baby over Ken's head. Is that news? No, because we know she's a grifter. She always has to be the victim. But this has been confirmed through a source. So I'm not unsure about this, y'all. Y'all could take this or leave it however you want. But it is what it is.
So, for now, at least, Ken is stuck. But is this shocking? Not really. If you've followed Gypsy's journey, you know she's been through the ringer. And one thing's clear, she knows exactly how to play the victim. It's almost like a survival tactic for her. If Ken were to make the mistake of walking away, Gypsy would have no problem painting him as the villain. And let's be real, public sympathy would likely swing in her favor, especially with her being pregnant.
The abuser wants to have complete control over you, and we've already seen that in Gypsy's behavior towards Ken. She wants complete control over him, and this is what I think is happening with Ken. Your partner can be so overly codependent on you that even the mere thought of you going to work has them spinning out of control, thinking that you're going to be at said job, cheating on them with some other person. So like, they won't even allow you to work because they are obsessed with the idea that if you are out of their sight in any way, shape, or form, that you're going to cheat. I think that's what's going on with Ken and Gypsy. I think she is so incredibly insecure to have him out of her sight that she is keeping him so close to her that she is literally smothering him with love and obsession. So another thing that I wanted to mention is that narcissists do not view people as people. They view people as conquests, things to achieve. So we all know that Ken broke up with her while she was in prison. Well, this detrimented her ego, and it deflated her ego to the point where she was obsessed with not him, but getting him back, just so she could raise her self-worth by having this man. She doesn't necessarily love him. She loves the idea of having him because in her mind, she believes that he is the best that she can do. I mean, look at her and look at him. And I don't want to really bring Ryan into this a lot because I feel like Ryan is a good guy and was manipulated by Gypsy as well. But he's not the best looking man. He is a nice, sweet gentleman. And I feel like he really did care about Gypsy. But again, narcissists do not view people as people. They view them as conquest, objects, things to be had.
And don't forget, she's been dropping hints about this whole situation for a while. Back in July, when she first revealed her pregnancy, she told People magazine something very telling. She said, "I'm not going to say the baby will help our marriage. There's definitely going to be arguments too. But Ken and I both come from divorced families, and we agreed from the start that we're sticking together for the long haul. We don't want our child to grow up in a broken home." Now, let's break that down. Gypsy's essentially telling Ken and the world that he has no choice but to stay. She's playing the broken home card, guilt-tripping him into sticking around for their child. She's planting the idea in the public's mind that if Ken leaves, he'll be the bad guy, abandoning his kid to grow up without both parents. And don't for a second think that's an accident. Gypsy even mentioned something along those lines on Nick V's podcast, saying she didn't want her pregnancy to trap Ken or force him into proposing. But let's be honest, this is classic reverse psychology. By claiming she didn't want to pressure him, she's subtly doing just that, making it all but impossible for him to back out. It's a calculated move, and it's working.
It's not about him. It's not about me. It's not about Ken. It's about this baby. This baby is innocent in all of this. This baby didn't ask to be brought into the situation. So the grown-up thing to do would be for the both of us to stop this tit-for-tat game and go our separate ways. Like, I'm happy in my life with Ken. We're expecting a baby. He can have a girlfriend. I don't care. I'm happy for him. But for me, it's kind of like, don't sit there and then constantly be like, she's my wife. I can talk about her all I want. She's my wife. She's my wife. She's my wife. Well, looking at that video, that's my husband. That's my husband. He's slapping some girl's ass. That's my husband. What I'm saying is two wrongs don't make a right. So, with that being said, this is the last time I'm talking about him on social media. I'm not going to talk about Ryan, and I would hope that he would give me the respect, or if he doesn't respect me, please respect my child, because my child doesn't deserve all this chaos. And that's the way I feel about it. Like, I want us all to be at peace with the situation and, like, move on.
Gypsy's recent media tour, especially her book Promo Blitz, has been all about curating a picture-perfect narrative. Her, Ken, and their soon-to-arrive baby wrapped in the glow of a wholesome family vibe. But here's the kicker. Is this heartwarming storyline as authentic as it seems, or just a clever PR move to secure her image? Let's unpack it. Gypsy isn't just embracing motherhood, she's making her pregnancy the centerpiece of her public persona, tying it tightly to her relationship with Ken. But look closer, and the strategy becomes clear. It seems she's using the baby as an anchor to keep Ken firmly in the picture. Imagine the fallout if Ken were to announce a split now, with Gypsy just weeks away from giving birth. The public would eat him alive, and Gypsy appears to know exactly how to turn that timing into her ace.
Gypsy absolutely manipulated Ken through the prison confessions on Lifetime into reaching back out to her and starting up a new relationship. She claims that Ken was the one who chased her and came back to her, but we know from watching the prison confessions that Gypsy made it very clear that she was still resentful over this relationship, that she thought that the reason why him and her had broken up was because he couldn't handle the public attention. This was her telling him that she wanted him to reach back out, or trying to manipulate him into doing so. Everything she does is very calculated so that she can achieve the goal that she is trying to achieve.
How did you enter back into the picture when Gypsy got out of prison? Did you watch our episode with Gypsy when you got brought up? Were you kind of out there kind of feeling a certain way? And then what prompted you to reach back out and start this beautiful relationship back up?
Well, I think at first I had seen her Lifetime doc, Prison Confessions, where she talked about me like towards the end and like displayed some feelings about our separation and talked about how it ended, and it wasn't fully accurate. So like it kind of broke my heart to see her cry and see her have this description of how our relationship ended. It made me just want to like set the record straight and like let her know like what the real reasons were at the time. And this is going back 5 years ago. And so that kind of like prompted me to reach out. But it was more just like, hey, I'm happy to see you out. I'm happy to see you smiling. I'm happy to see you thriving. I wish you the best. And that was like the initial point of contact.
It's being reported that Gypsy's pregnancy is now considered high risk and complicated, and we all know what that means. Ken can't just walk away now, not when Gypsy's using this situation to her advantage. By constantly reminding Ken that any stress or drama could jeopardize her health and the baby's, she's got him exactly where she wants him. Let's face it, no man wants to be held responsible for something like that.
So, granted, I understand that I broke Ryan's heart. I left the marriage. I was not a good wife. I could totally admit where I'm wrong in that situation. But I did file for divorce. I did go ahead and make that separation legally. And then got with Ken. And I'm happy. I'm happy in my life, and I want Ryan to be happy. There are very few times that I'm on live and I go off about Ryan. Blah, 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 blah. I don't do all that. Now, when I'm asked in interviews about him, I always say the truth. I always say, hey, I hope he's healing. I hope he's doing well. I want good intentions for him. But that's that. That's it. I do feel like all he does is talk about me and his lives, and it is frustrating because it's like you do have your own life going on, so why don't you talk about your life? And so it's kind of one of those things that he can talk about me all he wants, and people praise that, and people are okay with that, but I can't even shoot one shot at it at all.
Ken's return was a game changer, flipping Gypsy's priorities almost overnight. There wasn't any hesitation. Her energy pivoted immediately from Ryan to Ken, almost as if she'd been waiting for this moment all along. The realization seemed to hit hard. Ryan wasn't the one, and Gypsy wasted no time making that crystal clear. She quickly voiced her dissatisfaction with the marriage, pushing for a divorce as her focus zeroed in on reconnecting with Ken. And let's be real, it was bold, calculated, and unapologetic. Gypsy wasn't about to let anything stand in her way.
Y'all, this is crazy. Gypsy Rose Blanchard files temporary restraining order amid divorce from husband. Gypsy Rose Blanchard filed for divorce from her husband, Ryan Anderson, on April 8th. Attorneys for Blanchard filed the restraining order in the 17th Judicial District Court in Louisiana. On April 8th, People confirmed Blanchard filed for divorce from Anderson, a Louisiana special education teacher. Per the documents, Blanchard is also requesting Anderson to pay interim and long-term spousal support because Blanchard is in need and defendant has ability to pay, and she is not at fault for the dissolution of marriage. She is also asking the court to deny spousal support to him from her per the document. So spousal support is basically ongoing financial support that one ex-spouse is required to provide the other. There are many different factors that come into play when determining this amount and which spouse gets what, some of which include each spouse's income, the earning ability of each spouse, if they purchased a home together, how long the marriage lasted, if there are children involved, and the standard of living each spouse enjoyed during the marriage. But we all know that Gypsy has made a lot of money since her prison release, and she's definitely not in need.
At the core of this whirlwind is Gypsy's apparent fear of being alone. Ken's reappearance offered her a new sense of security, a fresh anchor to cling to. Once she felt confident in his commitment, Ryan became little more than a footnote in her story. For Ryan, the betrayal must have stung. He likely thought their marriage was built on something real. But as soon as Ken was back, Gypsy didn't hold back, leaving Ryan blindsided and scrambling to make sense of it all. Her reasoning? Gypsy claimed their lives were heading in different directions, and hers had aligned with Ken's. On the surface, it sounds like a tidy explanation, but let's be honest, it reeks of calculation. Gypsy knew exactly what she wanted and didn't hesitate to act. Meanwhile, Ryan was left to deal with the fallout of a marriage that, in hindsight, seemed doomed from the start. What do you think about Ken's decision to return to Texas? Are his social media posts a genuine reflection of his journey, or could they be part of a calculated strategy to maintain appearances? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on this ever-evolving story.